Before we start, check out my Roblox accessory shop down below since I just cooked some stuff from the Chainsaw Man movie. There's hair and faces alongside other add-ons for both Reze and the Angel Devil. The link's down below, and there's even more anime and manga stuff coming soon. What's up guys, it's Punchy, and today we gotta talk about something a little bit ridiculous that I don't hear anything about in competitive Deepwoken gameplay. This synergy makes your build near unkillable, and it can work in PvP against players, in PvE killing monsters or bosses, or any situation possible. There's quite a few moving parts to this busted tech, and I'll try to break it down the best I can. If you missed it, Agamatsu, one of the newer developers on the Deepwoken team, added some optional content that's extremely difficult and hard to access, but it unlocks one of the greatest items in the entire game. It's not really fun to obtain, and it's 100% not easy, but it's definitely worth your time if you do lock in and make a special build. Anyway, we're talking about the AEGIS gem, an equipable deep gem that's obtained by beating the Gaunt trial, and then turning in a rare boss drop from the World Serpent. So for starters, the Gaunt trial isn't something that everyone's gonna complete. It's straight up difficult for even the most experienced players, and it's kinda nonsense. The starting Lightning Squibbo and Prime Sharko aren't even that scary compared to the outrageous damage from Parliament, the final Deep Owl boss. This is really hard to do, but it's required to use AEGIS gems on your build. After doing all of that, you gotta farm forever trying to get a rare Caranthel scale to turn in, granting you one gem in exchange. Not everyone is going to be using AEGIS gems, but if you have a few, you can be straight up invulnerable. The damage reduction possible here is unpreventable and overpowered, and let's break it down. For testing purposes, the damage slot I'll be using has 100 strength and 100 heavy using a normal Evan Spear axe. The starting damage here without any reductions or additional modifiers is 61.66 damage, but in a real game, this can deviate higher or lower depending on the circumstances and the player you're fighting. Also, the higher damage you take, the more effective your damage reduction is going to be, so keep that in mind. The resistance scaling possible here is kinda nuts, and this is really good. Now for a defending build, I have a very high resistance setup with 512 HP, 51.3% resistance to slash and fizz, and very importantly, 47.5 resistance to lightning damage. This lightning damage resistance is going to be very important when we talk about debuffs and damage conversion. If you want to make one of the tankiest builds possible in the game, you can follow my steps. Besides having great armor and equipment to boost up your starting stats, there's a few essential talents that you gotta be using. So, Exoskeleton reduces damage taken by 10% and stacks on top of the Vesperian race, overall granting you more durability to this resistance. You have a larger pool to work with if you stack the race on top, but again, it's just 10% resistance. To make our base resistance even higher, it is necessary to slap on steel scales for the innate 3% slash armor, alongside padded armor for the blunt boost as well. Now, if you really want to pick this up a notch, we can use reinforced armor with the maximum stats required to reduce all coming pen or armor reduction by 30%. This is pretty powerful for just reducing damage, but it's less impactful than you'd think. With all of those starting modifiers to our base HP and resistance, that high damage of about 61.66 damage is only dealing 7 to 8% of our 512 HP build. Rounding up to the maximum damage of 8%, that's about 40.96 damage we're taking off rip, which isn't too bad of a reduction to start things off. But now it's time to break the game. With the use of Charismatic Cast, landing a mantra reduces damage by about 10% when your enemy is charmed. It's hard to see the actual difference here since we can't see full number values, but now the damage is consistently 7% of my HP instead of bouncing around 7 to 8%. If we round to 7%, that's 35.84 damage being dealt, and that's almost half of the original Evan Spear damage. Next, it's time to slap on our AEGIS gem, which is borderline overpowered when stacking on mods. This thing says landing a mantra reduces incoming damage by 10%, and what's crazy about this is that the AEGIS gem has basically zero cooldown. So the shield that buffs you lasts for 10 seconds fully, but after that runs out, we can instantly do it again, and that's a perpetual AEGIS cycle. It's kinda nuts. Landing a mantra that charms and procs our AEGIS gem reduces that damage to 6% consistently. If we want to stick with our rounded damage at 6% of our HP, that's around 30.72 damage. It's very easy to proc this resistance since charm charm, and Aegis happen instantly on a single hit. With that out of the way, let's talk about converting damage and abusing Thundercall. Thundercall has this status called Electrify, essentially converting all damage into lightning damage while reducing its output instantly by another 10%. This is why it's very important for us to have lightning resistant armor like Stormcaller's Rain Mints or Black Diver, since a lot of this DPS hitting the player is all lightning after this conversion. Landing a multi-hitting Thunder mantra that applies Charm, Electrify, and Aegis Gem, that damage is tanking heavily, only doing 4%. That's about half of the maximum damage happening earlier, and it's around 20.28 damage entirely. Now that we're done with that, let's slap on some conditional modifiers as well. Using an Arc Suit to reduce 10% even further, let's Electrify, Charm, and use that Aegis Gem. Instead, the damage here is 3%, dipping a little bit, and it's not even difficult to do. You seriously just have to land 1 or 2 mantras in the Arc Suit to achieve this resistance, and it's almost free. Rounding that once again, that's 15.36 damage, since that's 3% of our build. Again, if it's really something that you want to do, we can also use a physical sacred field to help us out. And by doing this, it's now consistently 3% with a very minor change, and it helps and is definitely reducing the output here, but again, it's not really game changing. Finally, if we really want to get crazy, let's stack this on top with To the Finish, reducing all damage below 30% of our HP. Now, with our insane armor resistance, Electrify, Charm, Aegis, Arc Suit, Bell, and low HP, we are consistently receiving 2% of our full HP, which rounds out to about 10.24 damage. Compared to the earlier 61.66 base damage, I think that this is amazing and extremely abusable if used correctly. So with that being said, it's very difficult to showcase these numbers in full accuracy since we can't see the exact values, but it's apparent to me that resistance is happening and it's very high resistance, you know, it's kind of crazy. Of course, this might seem very conditional, like would this ever happen in a real game, but again, it's really just landing a mantra while your Arc Suit is on or standing inside of your bell. These situations are very realistic in full-scale ganks or just normal fights in general, and it can definitely happen. There's a lot of flexibility here for additional add-ons like high healing options or even the Vampirism enchant to give you even more temporary HP, but you know, this is kind of insane that they have to chip through everything just to deal some damage. Regardless of what you choose to pick, the Aegis Gem isn't something to just forget about, it's very worthwhile and extremely easy to use. Abusing roll-catching mantras or confirmable damage with an Aegis Gem is gonna grant you a 0 cooldown resistance tool that works wonders with the rest of your build. Anyway, I just wanted to show off the full potential of this item, and maybe I missed a few things, but seriously, check it out and try doing this yourself. And with that being said, that's all for right now. Thanks once again to all the supporters who motivate me daily and directly help out this channel. If you want to join as a member, go down below, but besides that, my personal Discord, Guild Discord, and my UGC group are all linked, so check them out. Thanks once again, and make sure to like and subscribe. It's punchin' time.